World-renowned physicist Dr. Michio Kaku made a shocking confession on live TV when he admitted that HAARP is responsible for the recent spate of hurricanes. What's up, everybody? Truth Seeker here. In an interview aired by CBS, Dr. Kaku admitted that recent homemade hurricanes have been the result of government weather modification programs in which the skies were sprayed with nanoparticles and storms then activated through the use of lasers. It says in an interview below, Michio discusses the history of weather modifications before CBS crew stop him in his tracks. The High-Frequency Active Auroral Research Program, HAARP, was created in the early 1990s as part of the ionospheric research program jointly funded by the U.S. Air Force, the U.S. Navy, the University of Alaska Fairbanks, and the Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency, DARPA. According to government officials, HAARP allows the military to modify and weaponize the weather by triggering earthquakes, floods, and hurricanes. I'll go ahead and play the video clip here for you.
You know, they were talking about climate change yesterday, and now we're learning that scientists and researchers are looking at how to change the weather on purpose. That's right. Lasers now could one day manipulate rain and lightning. CBS This Morning contributor Michio Kaku is a physics professor at City College of New York. Professor, nice to see you. Extraordinary seeing Al Gore and Bill Clinton there together with Charlie, wasn't it?
That's right, yeah.
Yeah, they did not get into this discussion, though. But it is fascinating. I mean, lasers, really, to change the weather?
That's right. Well, as Mark Twain once famously said, everyone complains about the weather, but no one ever does anything about it. Well, instead of doing a rain dance, we physicists are firing trillion-watt lasers into the sky to actually precipitate rain clouds and actually bring down lightning bolts. This is potentially a game changer.
But this is experimental.
It's experimental. However, in the laboratory so far it works. When you have water vapor and you have dust particles or ice crystals, you can precipitate rain. It condenses around the seeds. These seeds can also be created by laser beams. By firing trillion-watt lasers, you rip apart the electrons, creating what are called ions, and these ions act like seeds, like dust particles, bringing down rain and even lightning.
Go ahead.
Well, this fascinates me in part because, too, I remember reading the stories that China had used this during the Olympics, that the USSR had used this after Chernobyl to create rain clouds. I mean, did those really work then? We have some of these capabilities now?
Inconclusive. Even in the 60s, the CIA used this to bring down monsoons during the Vietnam War, to wash out the Viet Cong. Governments have been playing with this thing.
Alleged to.
Alleged to, right.
Yeah.
Now, we realize that for decades now, these governments have been alleged to have experimented with weather control, but nothing conclusive. This time we're bringing in the laws of physics rather than simply waving our hands and uttering mumbo jumbo. We're actually using trillion-watt lasers now. And in the laboratory, sure enough, they precipitate rain out of water vapor. Sure enough, you can actually bring down electricity down the beam.
So what does it mean for drought areas that need to have rain for crops, and if they don't have them, there's the consequences of famine?
Well, the bad news is if it's a clear blue sky, it's not going to do anything at all because it only takes water vapor that's already in the air and condenses it. However, for floods, for agriculture, farmers, for people planning wedding parties, football games, you name it, outdoor events and agriculture and flooding and even hurricanes, all of them could be subject to weather modification.
Incredibly interesting, Professor Michio Kaku. Thank you so much.
Anon Group reports one detail in plethora of academic papers and patents about altering the weather with electromagnetic energy and conductive particles in the stratosphere. Research published in the Proceedings of the National Academy of Science said the laser beams can create plasma channels in air, causing ice to form. According to Professor Wolf Kasparian, under the conditions of a typical storm cloud, in which ice and supercooled water coexist, no direct influence of the plasma channels on ice formation or precipitation processes could be detected. Under conditions typical for thin cirrus ice clouds, however, the plasma channels induced a surprisingly strong effect of ice multiplication. Within a few minutes, the The laser action led to a strong enhancement of the total ice particle number density in the chamber by up to a factor of 100, even though only a 10 to 9 fraction of the chamber volume was exposed to the plasma channels. The newly formed ice particles quickly reduced the water vapor pressure to ice saturations, thereby increasing the cloud optical thickness by up to 3 orders of magnitude. To really understand geoengineering, researchers have identified defense contractors Raytheon Bay Systems and corporations such as General Electric as being heavily involved with geoengineering. According to Peter A. Kirby, Massachusetts has historically been a center of geoengineering research. With the anomalous hurricanes currently ravaging the Americas, floods destroying India, and wildfires destroying the Pacific Northwest, weather warfare is a topic on the public consciousness right now. Please share this with as many people as possible. It's kind of funny too, I just did a video about him yesterday. Well, it's not exactly about him, but he's talking about CERN. But here he is now saying that pretty much HAARP is responsible for what's going on right now. It's pretty interesting though. This is actually, it's funny how they just nonchalantly talk about this stuff right now, because we've been called tinfoil hat wearers, for the longest by talking about stuff like this. But now, I guess it's the way you word it. You can't say the word chemtrails. You got to say seeding. If you say cloud seeding, oh, you're not a conspiracy theorist anymore, because that's what it's actually called. And that's what just really messes with. I mean, all these people for years saying chemtrails don't exist, those are contrails, arguing with you. I mean, they would take that to the grave, But what do you guys think about that? Definitely leave your thoughts in the comments below. And thanks for watching, everybody.
This year marks the worst drought America's seen in decades, and it's showing no signs of letting up. Over half the country has been affected, with the brunt bearing down on the mid and southwest, especially Nebraska, Kansas, the Dakotas, and parts of the South. Just look at that. Well, in one hard-hit area of Texas, some people have grown tired of waiting for Mother Nature to bring relief and have decided to try and take matters into their own hands. Here's ABC's Juju Chang.
Craig Funky is flying me to the edge of a violent thunderstorm.
You see how nice and crisp the top of that cloud is up there?
Yeah. But the former commercial pilot isn't some adrenaline junkie courting danger. He's a cloud seeder, chasing this menacing storm to squeeze out extra rain for the drought-stricken farmland below.
As a pilot going through school, you're taught to avoid thunderstorms.
This is Craig's job, firing chemicals into the clouds in a controversial attempt to modify the weather. He's literally a rainmaker.
That dark, thick cloud over there has lots of moisture in it.
That's part of the cloud that was seeded. It actually looks heavy with rain.
Cloud seeding has been used around the world for decades, but it's now getting a closer look as farmers desperate for solutions endure their 4th month of record-shattering drought with no end in sight. It's actually the largest drought in half a century, responsible for rising food prices and record wildfires. It's even suspected to be a cause for the recent surge in cases of West Nile virus. So we came to South Texas to find out if cloud seeding can really maximize our most precious resource, or if it's just a romantic notion that doesn't hold water.
We can't manufacture a cloud. That is just absolute basic. We cannot make it rain if it was not going to rain to begin with.
Tommy Shearer is president of the Texas Weather Modification Association. He's quick to explain that he can only enhance the weather, not create it.
If you look at the cloud as a factory, we're inducing a lot of raw material into the factory so that the factory becomes more efficient.
And more productive.
Consequently more productive.
His team of pilots and meteorologists are constantly scanning the skies for the right clouds to see.
Where everybody's going to get some good rain.
After 10 bone-dry days, a promising cluster of thunderstorms is finally headed their way. Butch is today's standby pilot. He takes the first run. Up in the air, we get a bird's eye view of Butch's delicate dance.
He's just working the very edge of it.
And then, Butch finds the cloud sweet spot.
Okay, he's fixing to light a flare.
Okay. Oh, I see the flare.
Yeah.
It looks like he's painting the sky.
The flares are shooting millions of silver iodide and calcium chloride particles into the cloud, where they collide with drops of water and ice and produce even more moisture. Then, usually within 20 minutes...
So what is this white smoky stuff over here?
That's rain.
Oh, that's rain.
Yeah, that's rain. All this is rain out there. Turn 7 on November, turn left base. When you go out and you seed for a few hours or all day long and really know you did some good, it's a good feeling.
The radar data collected today adds to a growing body of evidence that cloud seeding works. It can double the amount of moisture in a given cloud, and the Texas programs boast a 12% increase in annual rainfall, thanks to seeding. And long-term studies show those chemicals are environmentally safe and can't even be detected in the rainfall. But despite all the data, some of cloud seeding's biggest critics are surprisingly the very farmers who stand to benefit most.
This isn't the first drought we've been through, and it won't be the last.
Bill Slumchinsky's family has been farming this land for 5 generations. He and his son Brett tell us it's expensive to irrigate 300 acres of crops. All that watering cuts deeply into profits, but they are skeptical that anything short of divine intervention can actually make more rain.
What do you make of the cloud seeding program?
Well, when you've been in a drought since '96 and we've had one wet year, is it working?
We can't stop droughts, we can't break droughts. We just try and put a little more water on the ground.
And every drop of water, Craig explains, helps feed the underground aquifer used to irrigate crops. So though he can't promise Bill and Brett more rainy days, he's convinced cloud seeding is helping them in the long run. The local water districts that manage the aquifers believes it's working too. They pay 4 cents an acre to keep Craig and his team up and running.
Because we want people to understand we're not making promises we can't keep, and we're not making claims that we do not do.
Tommy Shearer brushes off critics who say he's playing God. His ideas may be bold, but he says he never loses sight of who's really in charge.
You're not going to beat Mother Nature. Let's just understand that right off. We work with Mother Nature. We try to help Mother Nature. Pick your battles. I wouldn't even fight my own mother.
For Nightline, I'm Juju Chang.
There's a lot of rain going on out there.
Over Pleasanton, Texas.
We also now officially opened up our online web store. You can now get Seeking the Truth, t-shirts, coffee mugs, and other accessories. This will definitely make a great gift idea, and every purchase will help out this channel. The link is in the description below. Please subscribe to our channel, like our video, and comment below, and we'll see you on the flip side. Peace! And don't forget to click the notification bell.